All right, we're back. It's Friday night. You guys are hanging out with me again. This is another Ready to Love recap. But we got one of our girls in tonight, guys. Take a sip of my red cup, and I'm getting ready to bring in the very beautiful Miss Mumen. She is here waiting. I see you guys are already in the chat. So without further ado, we're gonna bring Mumen in. There she is. Hey, beautiful.
Hey,
Welcome to Reality Check.
thank you. Thank you.
I love this hair. It's very pretty. I like that on you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying something different.
Yeah, well, it's working. It's working for you. So
Thank you.
we have watched the entire season. People are jumping in the chat now. We have watched this entire season. The reunion, actually, this entire season has been interesting, and the reunion
Oof,
was
the
interesting.
reunion.
The reunion was interesting as well. So we just saw that reunion and
Yeah.
the second part. And I'm gonna start by just asking you up front what were your thoughts? Because you just watched it, I'm assuming as well.
Yes, yes, yes.
What were your thoughts watching tonight's? The only one says tonight's reunion was boring. I didn't think so. I thought it was interesting, but not boring. What were your thoughts on what you watched tonight as opposed to what you
Oh no.
actually saw?
I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
You're fine.
I had a call just come through. So for us, it's filmed all in one big, portion. So it's not really a part one, part two.
Right.
It could appear like maybe we knew that, like maybe you guys felt like they said part one done, now part two. No, we did a bunch of like sets, a bunch of scenes, and
Okay.
then they pieced it together, however they wanted to. So we actually didn't know what was going to be playing last Friday and what was going to be playing tonight.
Okay.
So a lot of things that you guys see for the first time, we're also seeing for the first time. And I really have been stressing that in my interviews because I'm not sure people always realize that, that it's not in real time. Sometimes people
Right.
have been at home like, Mommy, like run or like pick up your phone. I'm trying to let you know that he's not the one. And I'm like, that was 2 months ago. So if I did, whatever, it's done now, But anyway,
Right.
so tonight I felt like it was cool that we had moments of I'm gonna say I'll say restoration, but I guess just like we had some really beautiful moments, some moments where people were communicating for the first time ever. It seemed in that way. There was some clarity brought to some situations, and I enjoyed that. I also feel like this is a prime example of something being so, drama filled sometimes, and so bam, bam, boom, boom. That when things are like maybe regular or normal or just a little bit more chill, it's considered boring. But I think that's because this season, I mean, we came in hot.
Y'all came in hot. Y'all
And
DC.
one thing y'all have to admit, we gave y'all some good TV to watch. It was great content. Y'all talked about how terrible it was and it's the worst, whatever, whatever, but y'all were still watching.
We were watching.
So,
We were watching and talking about it. Yes,
yeah.
we were watching and talking. Before I start talking about your season and everything from your perspective, what were your thoughts? Because I was watching your face when Corey had his I don't know when he had his like episode tonight. What were what and were you because you guys watched him have a similar one on camera during a confessional. And
Yeah,
again,
right,
it seemed like the same exact thing happened
right.
tonight. So, well, we watched it tonight. So, what were you thinking when that happened? When Corey, I mean, that just came out of the blue. But it's funny
It
for us
did.
to watch Mumi's face. She's like, okay, and then, like,
I
you
was kind
weren't.
of like, what is happening here? Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I guess it just completely caught me off guard. Like completely. I've never even almost seen Corey be in that space. And so I just felt like it was totally out of the blue. I didn't understand it. You heard there were some people on stage who were like, let it out, brother. And I'm like,
Yeah,
let what out? Like, is there some big secrets? Do you guys have kumbaya moments together and I don't know about them? I mean, I
that's what
just
I thought.
and yeah, and it had a little dramatic on it. It had a little camera action on it. And so I just wanted to check it first, and just sit back. I've been caught up in Corey before. So I
Yeah,
was like, let me just see if this is one of his things. And it turned out that he was being sincere.
yeah.
You guys did get to hear him kind of explain why he's kind of moved the way he's moved. Oh no, this water bottle, terrible. Why he's kind of moved the way he's moved. I don't miss anything. And so I, I I had some understanding of that, but you guys also heard me still, be vocal about the fact I got it.
Yeah.
That was sweet. Maybe
Yeah.
you should write a book about it. However,
No. Yeah.
this does not make anybody feel like special. And even though you may have a thing you do, like we all have little things. As women, we have things too.
Hmm.
Every guy doesn't bring out the same thing in me. So obviously I'm not giving every guy the same energy, the same
Right.
conversation, the same, you know. And so I wanted him to kind of get that. I don't know if he ever really got what we were saying, but you know, Corey's a
Yeah,
sweet guy.
I do think he is sincere. I think he just comes off as insincere, but I do think that he
Yes,
was. I think when he said that, he watched his mom and dad have this relationship, I think he is trying to get that
totally.
by any means necessary, and
Yes,
it is. But hopefully he'll learn from this. I think he's deep down a
right,
really good guy. I
right,
actually I didn't like Corey on the show initially because he just comes off as seeming very superficial. But
right.
when I actually started to see the human side of him was on you all's date,
Oh, okay.
honestly.
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
yeah, he came on it seemed like he was able to really be himself and kind of
Right,
stop the antics, at least from the
right.
exit that we saw. So I'm just saying he seemed like he was able to be a real person with
Yeah,
you.
yeah, for sure. So that's kind of how I felt too. Like, you know, I feel like he's kind of, you know, opening up and being vulnerable with me, you know, being super silly, quirky, goofy, you
Yeah,
know, really kind of, like I said, opening up. Um, but then, you know, we got to that pool party
yeah,
and there it goes again, Corey being Corey. And so I think that's the thing about Corey. Every time I'm like, oh, he does something. And I'm
yeah,
just like, oh, maybe, oh, he did it again. Oh, well, you know, and this was even happening off camera, honestly. Even when the show was over, we were having to kind of be like, Corey, you're doing it again. So I'm
yeah,
with you. I don't think there's like ill motives, you know, like any type of evil intent or anything, but just I can't rock with that.
yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
we saw you had to distance yourself, and
Yeah.
that was best. But I do think that his intent was good, but that's an example of intentions. What they say, the road to hell was paved with good intentions. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
bless his heart. I'm rooting for Corey. I do. I saw someone mentioned that Tyra Banks scene. I felt like I wanted to be like Corey. I wanted you just to stop and
Oh, that scene, that really popular scene with
yeah,
doing the
like we were
yeah
rooting for you.
eliminations. Yeah, we were all rooting for you. I love that episode. I'll never forget it. Yes, I feel like a lot of people were saying that, and even to this day, people are like, "This is the love story we all deserved," and I'm like, I was in position. I
Yeah.
was willing to give a boy a try, and that's not even somebody I would even normally be attracted to, and he wanted to play.
Okay, well, moving on. Moving on. Obviously, when we people, I'm gonna say I was one of those. I was gonna say people were not happy with the way the thing played out with you and Frank. I am people.
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
one of
Okay.
those people.
I am
um,
her.
yeah, I am her. I, you know, I thought when I watched you and Frank, because at first I was like, nah, nah, nah. And then when I saw you all with your families, I was like, okay, so maybe there's like a connection, a cultural connection that is like goes back to like their families that we're
Right,
not seeing that. Because at first I was just like,
right,
just don't see this. So
right.
I got sucked in because I'm a hopeless romantic. I got sucked in when I watched that, and I was like, okay, well maybe in that very last scene on decision day, you're like, you know, as long as you do what you say you're gonna do, as long as this keeps going, I'm gonna trust you. And I was like, wow, Frank, don't F it up.
Please
F
don't.
it up. So and we had him on, and
Oh,
he explained that he was very respectful to you, had very obviously great things to say about you, took all the blame on himself. But he said that he realized he had to go to counseling, he needed therapy, and then after that, there was something about when he learned more about you that he felt like you guys just weren't a good match. I just want to hear your perspective on that. When did you know
hmm.
that he was dealing with a lot of trauma, and did he share that with you, or what were you thinking
Um,
after decision day when it looked so hopeful?
right,
What
right.
happened after that for you?
Well, so let me just address even the last thing you said. Even like, because obviously this happened after the reunion. What you said, he said on the interview. To this
Mhm.
day, Frank has never told me to my face in real time or even on a telephone that he's figured out something about us that he doesn't feel like will click. And so I wasn't really expecting you to say that, but
Mm-hmm.
that is my response to that. Obviously we can tell something's going on. You know what I
Right.
mean? Therapy or not, battling with mental health or not, you desire certain people, you want certain people, and you're willing to have those type of conversations. Like, I'm going through something, but
Right.
I really want to ride this out with you. So again, just because you're dealing with that doesn't mean that, a relationship cannot work at all, or
Right.
that somebody cannot feel like you are interested in pursuing them.
Right.
So the fact that I still haven't been told that to my face and what the thing is problematic.
Yeah.
I could say duh, but I mean, we're grown. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you want to tell me what that thing
Yes.
is? And
Yeah.
everybody's like, is it the abstain? I have no idea, because he's never told me.
Mm,
Even weeks after the reunion, even when we were talking, he would still say stuff like, I still want to hang out with you. I still want to try to date you. And I used to be like, don't finish that D word. Like, you don't. And it's like, okay. And so I, started asking him one day, well, like, what else is going on? Like, are
yeah.
you one of those people that you're just like a guy that just always wants to say the right things, and you don't really want to but hurt
Mhm.
anybody's feelings or say, but it's like, you do hurt people in the end when you're
Yeah.
not completely honest. You know what I mean? And just, how did we get here in the first place if that was the case?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't even spend time together. So what could you have discovered? That I'm a super present woman who was interested in showing up for you?
Well, I like the fact that you held him accountable. This was we have Miss Sabrina's in the chat. Hey, girl.
Sabrina.
And yes, and I told her that I love the fact that she, held Walter accountable, because I think on this show it will be easy to get caught up. And so
Yeah.
when you all were asked, you were asked the question of, where you all were at, and he said you can go ahead and be honest. And
Right.
you shared, your perspective, but then you went ahead and was like, but you checked him like, no, that's not the case. And just because you've been hurt doesn't give you the right to hurt other people. That's not an excuse that you
Right.
can use as a tool to get out of stuff. And that's what it
Right.
felt like. It felt
Right.
very much like, well, I've been hurt before, and these are the things, but we've all been hurt. And
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate
Yeah,
you.
especially, after a certain age, you've had experiences, obviously, in multiple relationships, to some degree. And I'll share this with you. Frank and I spoke the night before. For a long time, he had been reaching out. I really wasn't open to it. I felt like it was damage control, I'm being honest. And I was just like, hey, I wish you had done a little bit more damage control a little earlier to play it off a little bit more. So I said, okay, we'll talk. So I took the phone call, and it was great. It's always good. He's not a monster.
Yeah.
He's not a bad guy. He's cool. So we're talking, just kind of semi catching up. And I said, okay, basically, I know why you're calling. You're calling about tomorrow. You want to see if I'm gonna get on that stage. And I was like, that's not me. And you know that. And he was like, I know, that's what I really, really like about you. And he went on and on about how he still wants to pursue me, how he still wants to date me, but just it's so much going on right now, like that type of thing. He said, but tomorrow I'm going to put you on a pedestal. I want you to speak your truth. I'm going to give it all to you. I'm going to take all whatever. I know it's me that messed up. I know it's me that's trying to figure things out. So I said, okay, cool. So we get there. The energy between us is it's cool, but I don't want to fake. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? At these reunions, we're closing out the Ready to Love chapter, as far as, to in
Mhm.
this degree. And it's
Yeah.
like, I want people to know what the status is. A
Yeah.
man at home who wants to put in the work could be watching me, and I don't want any, confusion. So I'm like, I don't want to kind of play a game. I'm not going to play you out, but I don't want to whatever. And so, he kind of was extremely affectionate, very much so on me, to the point people were looking at me like, I thought you said y'all. I
Right.
thought you. And I'm like, he's doing that thing where this looks so good. It's like cookie cutter. It's like we put our kids to on the school bus this morning, and you would never guess. And so it just, he knows how to do the thing and play the role, which is why I got this far. So
Yeah.
anyway, so then when it was time for us to have our moment with the host, you can see he definitely said, be honest. And that was me, between him and I, feeling like, remember, we just talked and it's all good. Say
Mhm.
what you need to say. So I started talking, and I don't know if you remember how that went. I started sharing, and then I think the host asked one more question. He said something else, and then that's when things went left,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he began to share. And to me, I don't know if he got I don't know what happened, but what was not okay was for him to then say that the reason why we're here is because I was pushing things, or
Yeah.
trying to move too fast. There was nothing to move fast or slow.
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then also, just I think with women, because I think this happened with another young lady, sometimes when you hear stuff like that, but it's really about you not being completely honest, it's like almost offensive to women. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because we're portrayed sometimes as like, naggers. And I don't even know I was going to say this. It's just coming out, but like we're naggers, or
Mhm.
we're pushy, or we're trying to make a man. In this particular situation, for sure, I know that that was not the case, and that
Yeah.
there were conversations I was having, and there were things he was saying that was very different than what he was saying on that stage just
Mm.
the night before. And that's why I felt like I had to be intentional about holding him accountable in that moment,
Yeah.
because that it was like I felt like he was almost trying to like embarrass me, and then beyond that, like put this on me, like something is wrong with me, or
Mm.
that I didn't like how that felt. And
Yeah.
we talked about it, some time went by and we finally spoke, and he again very apologetic. I think I got caught up in the moment. That's not what I was trying to say. That's not, but it still was real emotions. It was still real time. I still had to experience it. And my thing is, Crystal, whether we were gonna ride off in the sunset or not, when you care about somebody, the first foundation to me is like friendship. And
Right.
caring means that you don't uncover. Caring means that you're not dishonest, and you're not just putting somebody out there like that on national
Yeah.
television. And
Yeah.
so I felt like, dang, I thought we were cool enough that you would at least not do that. Like,
Yeah.
stand in your decision, stand in what you did.
Right.
You disappeared. It's okay. Just,
I got him to admit he ghosted. At first, he was like, "I was like, no, that's just
yeah,
ghosting
let's use the language.
a
It's
person."
okay.
Yeah,
It's
and
okay.
he admitted that. I also want to ask you about another thing that he said, because
Hmm.
he brought up, which I thought was a little odd. Towards the end of the conversation, he said, "Well, there's an elephant in the room, which is that he had not dated black women as of late. Initially, he did when he was a lot younger, and then he didn't." So I wasn't going to bring that up. Of course, that was a topic of a lot of conversation. We saw his ex,
Right.
but when he brought it up, I wonder, what do you think that he felt there's a difference? And I asked him, was there a difference? He didn't really give me a straight answer on that. But do you
Hmm.
think that he felt uncomfortable, or that that was an issue for him? Because for him to insert that in the conversation, that made me feel like maybe he is, I don't know, are black women his preference? Does he,
Right.
where are we at?
Right. So I guess we had conversations about that. He told me about his ex. Of course, I met her, but prior to that, we talked about it.
Mhm.
And I never got the feeling that he preferred to date, Caucasian women, and that it was a struggle for him to connect with black women. I never felt like that at all. That's not how he made me feel. And
Right.
coming from a household that, we were super exposed as children to all type of culture. I'm a lover of all people, all shades, all skin tones, number one, because I'm a believer. And then just number two, that's just me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Literally. And I believe that's something I'm called to. So it didn't even bother me that his ex was a white woman like that. I
Right.
didn't even think like that. And then beyond that, we're here now. So I'm believing what you're saying in real time.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not even dating a light skinned girl. You're dating a chocolate drop. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking you really made up in your mind that this is what this is what you want. You know what I'm saying? So I never got that, and I never thought that.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying now. Now looking back, the sad thing is I still can't say.
Don't know.
I still can't say it.
Yeah.
We would have to have a conversation about what that even, what it means. Like when I date Caucasian women, they're more so like this, and when I date African
Yeah.
American women, y'all more like that. And most time I just don't like that. Okay, he never said that to me.
Wow. Okay. Well, what was it about? Another thing that you said, that I wanted to ask you about tonight is, you're like, I decided to give you a chance and go against everything that everybody else was saying. And so I wondered initially, because I definitely did not see, as I said, I was not like a Frank and Mumi champion at first, because I was like, I don't
Uh-huh.
think that he's serious. He just
Right.
didn't come off like he was really serious. What was the consensus among the other women? And then what made you really give him a chance and try to, kind of be open to getting to know him outside of the perception that he initially, his first perception that you had of him?
Okay. So there was a feeling that I had in the very, very beginning, and I was very vocal about at some of our deliberations, which was I just did not feel like Frank was present
Mhm.
emotionally. And I used to feel like when I would talk to him that like he was looking straight through me, or
Mhm.
that I literally couldn't get a grasp of what was happening in that moment. And several other women, said the same thing, that they just couldn't connect with him. They weren't sure if he was really there, like really, really present, and that he could talk. He's a smooth talker. He knows how to, he speaks well. He's very
Yeah.
charismatic, but what's really happening in this moment. And so I was one of the first ones who was like, yeah, I can't feel a thing. Like when I talk to him, I can't see, I don't know what is happening there. And so I would have these conversations and I would hear these things. But I think one of the biggest things, and I've said this a few times, there was a lot going on within the cast, as you can see, while we were filming and we were all going through our journey. And um, feeling like, I guess, protected and like seen is a big deal for me.
Mhm.
And where I felt like people were judging me or confused on my association with certain people in the cast,
Mhm.
I felt like Frank is a person who, instead of just assuming or going with everybody else, would ask me questions. Like
Mhm.
we would have conversations. Like he would check on me in heated moments, pull me to the side, see if I was okay.
Mhm.
Affirm me, let me know that he saw me. He saw the difference I was trying to make. Would see, altercations I would try to break up. Would see me try to step in and be, peer mediator, and
Mhm.
I appreciated that,
Yeah.
and I felt like he had my back, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that was definitely a space where we connected,
Mhm.
even more.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit because
Hmm.
I think that there's been. It's funny because I just did an interview on with two founders of a organization that is focused on relationships, but they're doing a special on church hurt and how
Okay.
sin plays a big part in relationships. And
Okay.
so the last season, we saw religion was a big part of Ready to Love in Houston because we saw, Liz talked about wanting to remain celibate until she got married.
Right.
We saw some of the other castmates were like, I'm not a person that goes to church all the time. There's been conversation about that. So I've always wondered when you are someone, and it doesn't necessarily have to be just a religious reason, but when you're someone that may be a little bit more conservative and how you interact with romantic relationships. Let's just say that.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, how did you see this when you decided to do the show? How did you see that playing out? Because you know that being someone that's saying I'm not into just having sex before marriage, that is going to be, even though it is a big deal, but on a show like this where it's everything is salacious and people are looking for opportunities to be familiar here or there, it's definitely going to be a topic that comes up and could be a deal breaker for some people. So
For
how do
sure.
you feel about joining the show knowing that your outlook on relationships was probably going to be different than a lot of your castmates?
Right. So I don't know if I literally realized what I was stepping into, as far as what you just said. I have been on the road and just super engulfed in the gospel music industry for like the last 10 years.
Okay.
So I'm around not only like-minded people, but at least people who are striving. Not perfect. I didn't say
Right.
there wasn't slip-ups. Didn't say there were people who are like, yo, I'm trying. The Lord know me. I'm good. I'm whatever. What I'm saying is, those are conversations we're having for the most part. We know
Okay.
what we're attempting to do. We know what we're trying to do versus people who are just like, yo, that's not me.
Yeah.
We doing it. I don't understand not doing it. And
Yeah.
so that was kind of like, honestly, almost like a culture shock. Honestly, remember I said it's not that people weren't doing it,
Yeah.
in the church. It's just how we even talk about it is different, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Not like
So
Trey's like, I'm not waiting. And
yeah,
I love her
I
honesty.
know it's such a great meme. I know.
Yeah.
They just showed it again. Yeah, yeah. But that's her truth. And like I
Yeah.
said, I'm not here to speak on what anybody, just like she spoke about
Mhm.
Cornelius. Hey, that's what he wants to do. I respect that.
Yeah.
Same for me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So the producers asked quite a bit, like, hey, you're walking into this situation. What do you think guys are gonna say? How do
Mhm.
you feel like this is gonna, and I was just like, hey, it's gonna help me weed out people quicker,
Mhm.
and we're gonna see. And so another thing, there are a lot of guys that say they're down
Yeah.
and okay, I'll try and whatever, whatever. But not only does that get tricky, because most of the time that
They're not.
does not mean that, I would definitely say to anybody, that's trying to figure out how that goes, it's best to link with somebody who is also on that path, but for themselves. Like,
Yes.
meaning it has nothing to do with you. That's where they were in the relationship previous, or that's where they were attempting to be. And
Yeah.
even after you, because this is something that they want to do for them. This is between them and God, or,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And so that helps both be accountable to one another. Like I say,
Yeah.
there's going to be moments where you're tempted, hello, we're human. And if you're
Let's
dealing with
just
something that's fine, hello, like, just you look good tonight. I don't want to watch Netflix anymore. What makes it hard is, when you're feeling that way, and if the guy was only doing it for you anyway, he's like, bet. Like, I've been waiting for you to, you know
Right.
what I mean, get caught up or whatever the case. So that makes it harder. So I think to be successful in this journey, which I do know several of my friends who were successful,
Mhm.
y'all both need to kind of just have that on your own. That's your thing.
Definitely. Absolutely. I'm going to ask you more about that, but what made you sign up for Ready to Love? What was, because with you being, in that industry, and I'm sure you meet
Yeah.
a lot of people. Um,
Yeah.
you're a beautiful woman, you're a talented
Thank
woman,
you.
so I'm sure you are interacting with a lot of people. So what was it about this show and where you were at your life at that time that made you sign up for Ready to Love?
Right. Well, I got a phone call about being a part, and I had never really considered anything like that. I still some days can't even believe I did it. This was really the first time I dated like that, and then the first time it's on national television. It's like, what in the world, So I just sometimes when you come out of super crazy seasons that like fortify you and just they were just like tough and you fought through, you're kind of in a very hey,
Yeah.
why not? Let's try it. This is crazy.
Right.
Let's try crazy. You know what I mean? What's the worst that could happen? What just happened in your last season? You know what I mean? Like just let's just jump out. So I think I was in a like an adventurous, courageous, let's do it type of space. And
Mhm.
then the pickings in my past were just like
Yeah.
honestly guys kind of in the same arena,
Hmm.
kind of doing the same thing. And I
Hmm.
think I also felt like this show would expose me and throw me into a pack of guys who are different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I thought it would be something. Why not? Cool to try.
So were you at a place where you really wanted to be in a relationship and you really are hoping to, what does that look like? Were you really wanting to get married? Do you just really want to be in a relationship? What was your, I guess, your heart's desire?
Right. So yeah, because I didn't make that part clear. I was also thinking about okay, like what's next? Like I said, I had been on the road, been in the industry for like 10 to 15 years. Continuing to pursue, but I've desired to be married since I was 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
being in a 10-year relationship with a guy that was 6 to 7 years older than me, and it just being all the things that came with that, and it was just a lot on me emotionally. I think I just got caught up in a lot of different things, you know what I mean, and not really, really knowing what I want. I mean, I met somebody at 16 who was that old, you know what I mean. I grew up in that relationship, and the meshing and the growing was really his needs, his desires, his wants. Am
Yeah.
I enough? Am I what? You know what I mean? So that fortifying that, learning about yourself, that that womanly whatever. Mine was all kind of weaved in. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? A relationship. So, in those moments where I think I really should have been like learning myself, and so
Yeah.
I guess it felt like a fresh start, like a chance to really go after that because I definitely do desire to be married. That's another reason why I stayed away from dating because it felt like
Mhm.
the whole idea of it was all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think that's something sometimes that I hope the Christian community begins to speak about more. Maybe that's something that I'll do. But it's like it's
Mhm.
okay to do. There's a safe, positive, clean way to do it. And it's really a time where you get to learn about yourself. You really, really do, and what you want. And are you making that clear? Are you, being vocal about that? Is it, are people understanding? What are you giving off? What are you attracting? Why are you attracting it? So I'm really grateful that I had this chapter before I get married.
Yeah.
I'm really, really grateful, even though it didn't turn out exactly how I thought. I appreciate the journey, and I learned so, so, so much. So definitely, sincere and serious about starting this chapter, and was just like, yo, if I really find this guy who's away from everything I do, not with me because of who I know and what I'm connected to, which I dealt with a lot. I
Yeah.
was like, that would be incredible, you
Yeah.
know.
I like that. I got to read this comment because
Okay.
but I think this goes for both you and Sabrina. And
Mhm.
this is from Finish the Race. VL says, ultimately, in the end, we women need to learn and know our worth and be willing and ready to walk away from anyone who's clearly not that into you or clearly not good for you. And
Right.
I think that you guys, the two of you, did a great job of really exhibiting self love and like, okay, no, this is not how I want to be treated, but you carried
Right.
yourself with a lot of grace, and that's good for us to have. Like those type of
Yeah.
models are good for us to have on television. So I just wondered about your motivation for joining the show. So you get on the show, and the first mixer
Mhm. Mhm.
Because things, I mean, I will say about this season, it was definitely like you didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know who was going to.
I know it was just moving.
Yeah, it was just all over. So what were your thoughts when you first attended the initial mixer? What are your thoughts on the guys? What are your thoughts on just the environment? Are you thinking, okay, this is a good thing, or did I make a mistake? What's in your head the first day?
Whoa. Well, first of all, I had like 3 anxiety attacks in the car as I was waiting because anybody who's done industry stuff knows that there's a term we use called hurry up and wait. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So you're told to be here on this time. Oh my God, be there, blah, 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 and then it's like, then it's
Yeah,
like, da, 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 then it's like, and
yeah.
that happened. You know, it was like, be there, be ready. So I'm pulling up thinking, the next 10 is on. But no, we're sitting there, and then I'm seeing some of the ladies, and it felt like the first day of school. You know what I mean? Like, look at her. Like, okay,
Mhm.
so what's the ladies giving? What's the oh, well, we didn't get to see the guys yet, but all of that, just we didn't know what to expect. I didn't for sure. I've never done anything like this.
Mhm.
I'm normally pulling up to choir rehearsal or revival or tour bus. So I'm like, wow. So this is what we're gonna do. So when I got to the mansion, I was the last woman and I didn't know. They definitely did not tell me until I was about to walk in the door.
Mhm.
So I felt like I was walking into a space where the energy and the temperature had already been set. And so I know how to still do that, but it's a different approach to a space. You know what I mean? And if you're a person who's super sensitive and can feel a lot of things, you understand what I'm saying. It's
Mhm.
different if you're the third or fourth.
Yeah.
I was the last, and the room had already decided what the room was going to be. You know what I mean? So I walked in like, whoa, and I knew I was the last one because it was the last glass. So when I saw there was only one glass up, I said, "It's me. I'm the last." I'm the last one. So I got in there, and as soon as I walked in, I ran into Corey, which is hilarious. That's the first man that I saw, which is so funny. He was talking to Cornelius, and there was somebody else, I think, standing by them. But anyway, it was a beautiful lawn, beautiful day. And I was just like, whoa, I was super overwhelmed still, I'm gonna be honest. And there were
Mhm.
a lot of people watching that was like, she was just so chill. I'm forgetting that she's even on the show. Like she just didn't really say a lot. And a few episodes went by, and I remember there were producers that were like, "Yo, we consider you a slow burn. Like,
Mhm.
you were real chill at first, but now everybody, you in the
Yeah.
streets, all the guys, all the whatever, whatever." And I was like, "That's normally me. I like to come in a space and kind of like check it out and fill it out, and what's the what and who, okay, and how, and
Mhm.
then I start to open up and I start to whatever." So there was
Yeah.
a lot of nice looking things out there on that lawn, a lot of like wow. So I was super open that first day.
Mhm.
I'm be honest, I definitely didn't come in as the flag police, not off break. I didn't. I definitely wasn't like no, I
Yeah.
just off break. Who am I, attracted to? Just
Mhm.
off
Well,
starters.
let's talk about who were you physical. We're just talking about physical when you saw them. Who were you like immediately physically attracted to? I'm not talking about personality or even them
Mhm.
approaching you. Just when your eyes saw certain delicacies,
Mhm. Mhm.
what were
Mhm.
you drawn to initially?
Okay. I would say Carrington, Frank, and I think Nye's really handsome as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You said
Yeah, he's very handsome. Very handsome. Very
that
handsome.
was off. That was off break. My
Yeah.
answer will be different for the second episode, but that's what I would say in the very, very beginning.
But that's what I'm saying because I don't. A lot of times it's not obviously once you talk to people and you see how because someone can look a certain way, they open their mouth and start talking, things can be very different. But I think
Right.
to know like who you were physically initially attracted to when
Hmm.
you first got there.
Yeah.
So when you started to, was there any? Because there are certain things that we didn't see. Obviously,
Right.
editing doesn't show
Right.
us all the dates. So, is there anything that anybody that you had a connection with that we didn't get a chance to watch kind of play out?
No, for the most part, you guys saw everything. There was a moment with myself and Dante on that date with Walter, and Dante and I had at least 2 other dates that you guys didn't
Oh
see.
wow. Okay.
One of them was to discuss what happened at the getaway, but we did have other moments. They just weren't seen. But um, I think there was just an initial, hey, like like at that first episode, we had a lot to talk about. I
Mhm.
know I said his name a few times, producers, and so I think that's why they were kind of just trying to see what that was going to be. But that was it. It was never a thing. That
Mhm.
would really just be me and Walter, Frank and Corey, and that's it.
Yeah, so that's what we said because we started with Corey, and that
Mhm.
went left. and then of course then there was Walter,
Hmm.
and honestly, I was like at first again I am the people that thought I saw Walter and Sabrina and I was like, okay, they just
Yeah.
look like the most amazing couple
Yeah.
ever. The
Yeah.
aesthetics of it.
Yeah.
But then I
I would
saw
agree.
you guys talking and the energy and even like your vibe. It's funny because I heard you say, well, when Walter looks at Sabrina, he looks this way. And then of course he said, well, Sabrina told him, well, when you're with Mumi, you look
I
this
know, I
way.
know, I know. This is
So,
the strangest thing. I don't know.
yeah,
I've heard the conversations too. I don't know.
yeah. So did you were you feeling that in at the time? Were you conscious of that? Could you tell? Because I obviously he really he did like you a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
obviously you liked him. I love the scene with you guys playing, on the piano, you guys kind of going back and forth, but then that
Yeah.
kind of turned a different way. So
Yeah.
talk to us about, kind of the courtship with Walter. What did you like?
Okay.
Were you feeling confident about it? What was
Okay.
going on in your head?
So Walter and I connected like officially the second time we all got together at
Hmm.
this brunch spot, and we had like the most amazing conversations. We're both into like conspiracy theories, so
Hmm.
we were talking like to the point the producers were like, we all got on these walkies and were like, is anybody hearing this? Like these, can we play this? Can we air this? And, they obviously did not, but we just really connected. They're like was just wrapping each other up. That was a lot of fun. And then from there, we were able to bond and really share a lot of things that have happened with us as far as childhood and how we grew up and family
Okay.
dynamic stuff and how we're working through that and what would our household look like and so forth and so on. And so we had a lot of great moments. I think Walter is a really great guy. I actually thought Walter and I were going to definitely be more. I really did. Um,
Hmm.
but like I've said before, we were all there to date. We were dating multiple people. I just didn't understand why sometimes he would shift his energy when Sabrina was around. I just don't understand that because I was dealing with other guys who also had other women that they were interested in, and that wouldn't happen with them. So I just
Hmm.
didn't understand that. And I think I've never said this, but sometimes it just felt like, and hear me out, this doesn't mean like more than the other, but
Hmm.
sometimes I felt like he respected Sabrina in a way that he did not respect me.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that was age.
Hmm.
I don't know what it was, but
Hmm.
I felt like there was a different level of like the way in which he handled her that he
Hmm.
did not necessarily do the same with me, if that makes sense. And so
Yeah.
that's that. And I have heard that she feels that way about him. And I know
Hmm.
she's heard that I've said that about, and then he sits there and be like, I told that. So I don't know if any of us can really figure out, what.
Walter is an enigma because yeah, she said the same thing, but when he was on, he was very clear that I think his way of pursuing and maybe women respond differently, but yeah, he
Right.
everyone has said the same thing. She was like, no, he was not really as into me. I didn't feel like he was as into me as everybody else thought. But
Yeah.
from a viewer watching, it did seem like the two of them. But I think that also is just because we saw them first together and they just seemed to
Right.
really, really good together. And they also had a very touching moment that we were
Right.
able to see on camera.
For
And I
sure.
thought, yeah, I thought that
For sure.
was really cool.
I would
Did
agree.
did you have who was your personality chemistry a better fit with? Was it Frank or Walter?
Such a great question. And it was like there was moments where that was the case with both. But I'm gonna say like peer level, that would be Frank. It's just a different dynamic when you date a guy that's older than you. And
Yeah.
especially a guy that's older than you who's super experienced. Walter, he travels a lot.
Mhm. It's
He
very
reads a
cool.
lot of books. You can just,
Yeah.
super cultured. And they both are for different reasons, which was
Yeah.
another reason why I was attracted. But that age thing is just a thing sometimes, especially depending on what you've been exposed to lifestyle, wise.
Mhm.
So I think, like I said, there were moments within both of our connections where I had that. Neither one was like the whole thing.
Okay.
If that like neither one was like head to toe butterflies. This is
Mhm.
oh my god, this is it. It was just little pockets with both
Okay.
at different times. Hmm.
Now here's another question. Who were you more physically attracted to?
Out of them two, right?
Yeah.
Frank.
I didn't expect you to say that. I thought you were gonna say I was gonna say Walter for you. Okay. Yeah, that okay. Well, all right. So
But
obviously,
can I say something about that?
yeah.
That's my answer because that's what I felt in that moment. But the thing about me is, Crystal, my taste is like a rainbow, an array of.
The gamut.
Yeah, if you got swag and you can just make me feel like that and you show up, it's almost like I can make anything work. I don't know. That is the truth. Like if I
Yeah.
showed you a lineup of the guys I've dealt with, you would be like, I'm trying to connect dots
It's
and I
random.
have no. Yeah. Like I don't know. It's like I see God's goodness in
Oh
all
man.
levels of man. Like I
And
just be like, okay, God, okay, God. Like
I like that. And yes, and it is good. It is all
okay, it is finished. Okay,
good.
so
That's what's up. Well, I got to let me ask you about this because, like I said, I think you guys, the piano is probably one of my favorite scenes with the two of you,
mhm,
because we know that that's a big thing for you. Your music
mhm,
is a big thing for you, and then
mhm.
we didn't see that from him, but to be able to see that side, the creative side of Walter.
Yeah, yeah,
So then after that scene, you said to him, or on that trip, you said you felt like someone was poisoning him against you.
right,
Asked him
right.
about that, and he said he wasn't really clear. But I thought you were talking about Sabrina, and he said that you were definitely not talking about Sabrina. So can you clear
Right.
that statement up?
I would love to clear that up. I would be so happy to clear that up. So I was sitting down having a conversation with Walter. This we had a rocky day. It was a rocky trip for us. It was
Mm-hmm.
just, and I guess we'll talk about that if we have time. From the beginning to the end, it was just tough. So by that point, it was just off. It was, and then it was hot. We're all like delirious anyway. Just we were not in a great space. So we're talking and I'm trying to fill him out, but Walter is feeling real, slippery like he has at times where I'm trying to gauge that eye contact getting real funny. You
Mm-hmm.
acting like you not, but something ain't right. We had just had a conversation where he was like, hey, at this point, I'm super duper stuck between you and Sabrina. You have just really been climbing up the walls of my heart and you reached the mountain peak, that type of thing. So I'm like,
Okay.
okay. Okay. And then to get around him physically, and I didn't feel that at all. I was just like, okay, that got little games on it. And I just, it doesn't feel well. So anyway, we're sitting at the pool talking, and I said it feels like someone is manipulating you.
Mm-hmm.
They then cut to Sabrina.
Mm-hmm.
That was a choice that was made,
Mm-hmm.
but that is not what I said.
Okay.
I never said that Sabrina was manipulating him. Walter and I had conversations about him feeling like people were manipulating him or trying to manipulate him within that process. So I
Okay.
was like repeating that. You know what
Okay.
I mean? Like, hey, remember that conversation we had? I think it's true because
Mm-hmm.
he just was so in and out, up and down. It was like he was thinking something but wasn't saying it. Something was going on. It felt like something had a hold. And even if the hold was, I'm confused about something with you, he was not communicating that.
Right.
So that's what I was saying. And since then, he's discussed with me that people were planting seeds in his head about me. People would come back and tell him things about me just to stir him up, type of thing. And that there were other people aggressively pushing him towards me. But either way, he felt like people was trying to weigh in on his decision making in a very aggressive way. And so when he told me, I was like, I could understand how that's a whole lot. I don't know if that's happened to any other guy. So I can see how that's a lot for you to try to like figure out. You're trying to figure out who you can trust. Is this person looking out for me? Or is this
Mm-hmm.
person being messy? Does
Mm-hmm.
this person know something that I don't know? Or does this person actually really like me and they're trying to switch?
Yeah.
Didn't know. So then where I did say Sabrina's name is a little bit later in the conversation when I said, and then also you act different when Sabrina's around.
Yeah. We heard that. Right.
And I was only saying that because again, we've all been in these situations. I've been with Frank and Sydney. You guys have seen it on camera. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so chill,
Yeah.
strangely chill. But we just, that's how we showed up in the process and we knew what it was. It was like, girl, if this is gonna be you, cool. If this is gonna be you, cool. And so I was kind of like, why can't we have the same thing here? When I
Mm-hmm.
have moments like that and there's an energy shift, it always feels like there's conversations going on. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, who is talking to him? Because it's like even how he looks at me is different. Like he's running something through his head, like he's filtering what I'm saying. Like, it was
Mm-hmm.
almost like somebody has your trust more than I do. And again, that doesn't feel good when you're in a space where you're trying to lock in something. You know what I mean? It's like I would
Mm-hmm.
tell him something and he'd be like, but did you really do that on Tuesday night? And it would be like, well, I haven't shown you to be a person that's not trustworthy. Like you're giving me, we have 3 years of baggage. We don't. So
It's
what's
trust
what's
coming
going
from.
on? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So does that make sense?
Well, yeah, it does. And I think, Frank spilled a lot of tea
Oh
when he
shoot.
was here, just about some of the things happening in the cast that we weren't privy to. And then even Walter did speak about, he cleared that up. He was like, you weren't talking about Sabrina. There was just a lot of other things happening, sides, and y'all had some, cliques happening,
For sure. For sure.
So I have to ask you about that.
Okay.
Um, I'm trying to see how I want to say this first.
Okay.
What we saw at that retreat was a lot of tension between, from what it looks like to me, Zadia and Camille, and the rest of the women on the cat. And you seem to kind of just be in the middle, like,
Mhm.
just kind of in the middle. But
Mhm.
we do know that they were very supportive of you. And I do want to say, because I see people in the comments, this is not to bash or down anyone. I love the fact that I don't know if there was closure or any, but at least everybody ended on a good note at the reunion. So I'm definitely, we're not trying to recreate beef or anything like that. But I
Yeah.
do have to ask you about just the cast, and was it consistently, split? Was there constantly trauma and drama that was going on behind the scenes that we weren't aware with all the women? Because it seemed like at that dinner table, everything just had been building up for a long time and it kind of spilled over. So, what's
Right.
your perspective on that?
Yeah, I would love to share about that. And I want to talk about that dinner table scene. It kind of was giving classic black family dinner table scene in every single movie where like stuff just be like bum, 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 bam. You know what I
Like, this
mean?
is this
Like
has
how
been building
Tasha,
up for
like,
years.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And also too, your uncle, it was just like a read of all reads.
Yeah,
When I tell you Frank and I were in the deepest conversation of life, I had no idea a fire was starting. Like you have to understand, like what by the time I turned my head, I said, whoa, buddy. I don't know how we even got there. So people were like, did you hear this? What did you think when this happened? I
yeah,
was doing what I came on the show to do. I was we was over there talking about traveling in foreign countries. I mean,
yeah,
talking about the sauce he made at the table and what ingredients and so I didn't even know that it was happening. I hate discord and tension, and it bothers me to the point. Producers at one point said, "Hey, you're peacemaking everything. Just let people talk if they want to talk, or let people." And I was
yeah,
like, "Fine, I'm saying, just or, whatever, whatever, cool, So, I understand, but that's just how I like to move. But, unfortunately, it definitely felt like Gangs in New York often.
yeah,
Definitely felt like Game of Thrones often. I was not expecting that, but it happened. And I think there were certain ways that I moved because I guess the truth is we all felt like Walter at some point. Who can you trust? Who can
mhm,
you not trust? Now again, it doesn't excuse how I felt like he wasn't communicating and everything else. What I'm trying to say is I want to give grace to the fact that emotionally this took a toll on all of us in different ways.
yeah,
And it's one of those things where it's like a domino effect. If one person kind of start maybe possibly moving sideways and like something that's not lining up, it was
mhm,
just starting to trickle over into the next, and then maybe another person find out, so they put up their guards and then begin to be defensive and say, "Well, let me also play because I don't want to be caught off guard." And then well then I also does that make so everybody was just kind of because I don't think anybody knew what was really happening, and some people moving like this and did you do this and did you I never expected it to be like that. Like
yeah,
our deliberations were supposed to be private. They they did not stay private. Things were leaking out. So then
yeah,
people were hearing things that they should not have heard. Those were supposed to be safe spaces where
right.
we just dumped and got wise counsel from Tommy, and it just, it was like a bunch of rule breaking. Let me tell you something else that happened. They really advised us to not get up off camera,
Mhm.
and we just continued to get up off camera. And a lot of the things that popped off with the cast, which I do not want to discuss, but a lot of the things that popped off with the cast popped off camera.
Right, right. Well, that we've heard that there was a lot of that, but I guess I'm just trying to figure out, what do you, if you had to address or like define, what was the seed that caused all the dissension? Because it appears to where people were on sides and scheming, and it sounds
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. But what started, if what started this issue that caused there to be such a huge to the fact on the reunion, it felt like it was Cornelius, Camille, Zadia, and Naeem were on a team against the rest of the cast. And I'm like, how, when did that happen?
I don't. That's a great question. And I don't know if I can necessarily answer that, like literally pinpoint what happened. I just I see more of like a bunch of things that happened and it
Right.
just had a, like I said, domino effect,
Yeah.
ricocheting. You hit me, I'ma hit you. You
Yeah.
talked about me, I'ma talk about you. You told the dude that you saw me kissing him in the bathroom, but that was none of your business to tell, even though I was kissing him. Well, I heard that you was kissing such and such. Like
Right.
it was a constant thing, and sometimes, there were people unraveling. I know I was unraveling at one point where it was just like, okay, I need to catch myself. Like it's just, it's a lot going on, and I think you have a decision in that moment. Do you
Yeah.
lash out emotionally and try to mess up somebody else's something, or do you just hold it in and try to process and say, okay, cool, maybe
Hmm.
this space is not for me, it's not working out, what do I do? But if you feel
Right.
like you're in a process and you're being punked, or there's some funny business going on,
Hmm.
sometimes people then decide to put on their own detective hat and say, yeah, you won't get me,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you before I get. So it just that
It was a
energy
lot of that happening.
definitely. Oh my god, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yikes. So are you and Camille related?
No, we're not. It's just something we started to say. People
Okay.
thought we looked alike, especially in the very, very beginning, and so
Mhm.
we're not literally
Not
blood
really.
cousins.
Okay.
Mm-mm,
Okay.
mm-mm, mm-mm.
So are you, who are you still friends with from the cast?
Okay, so well, there's okay. You said friends though, so okay, cool. There's a few relationships that we're still just working on because so much damage was done.
Right.
Um, definitely still, cool with Camille and Zadia. I definitely have relationship with Tasia. Actually, Sabrina and I talk more now since we
Mhm.
stopped filming. Sydney and I talk quite a bit on social media. We're like social media besties, just always writing each other and commenting on each other's stuff. Like we really like fashion, so we connect in that place. And so it's like Carrie too, Carrie and Liva, we talk. And so it's no literal bad blood with me with anybody. And
That's
I've had the conversations that I need to have. But I just think it's okay that certain people are closer than other people and that certain people clicked more with other people. And I haven't shared this on any interview, but I'll do it now. Um I haven't had a lot of peer level, because we spoke about levels, peer level relationships with women where like jealousy was not involved.
mm-hmm.
And so to have, especially within the process, in the thick of things, when you just really did not feel like you knew who to trust. um Camille and Zadia were great support systems for me throughout the process. And it was dope to have beautiful, strong black women who, would push me as much as I would push them. And it just, it I think another thing that was kind of cool and made it feel safe was that we weren't really after the same guys. So where there were certain conversations that would get a little funny because I like you, girlfriend, you like me, but I'm into your
Yeah.
dude and you're into my dude. We
Right.
didn't ever really have to.
Have that type of that energy wasn't there.
Yeah, yeah, and you don't come on the show to make friends, and that's true. And
Mhm.
everybody says that's not why I'm here. Well, I just so happen to, during the process, be cool with certain people, and like I said, there's certain people we're cooler now. Certain people we don't talk as much. Certain
Yeah.
people there's been distance put in place. But during that time, and I'll say this too, there was a lot of like trauma bonding, and that's a real thing. We were going through an
Yeah.
emotionally intense process, and so
Right.
certain people, were clinging to each other. Certain
Yeah.
people bonded just off the fact that I heard you took up for me in the bathroom the other day when
Yeah.
somebody was whatever.
Yeah.
That really did happen. That's a
That
true
makes
thing.
sense. That makes sense. And it I think the response, because there's been a lot of response about that, is just because on seasons prior, we've seen the women really bond together. I'm sure
Yeah,
there's plenty of stuff going on that we haven't seen,
yeah,
but season we got a chance to see it, and it just I think it we didn't like it because it reflects. When I watch it, I see myself in you all. So when I hear
yeah.
another woman talking bad about another woman, I don't like how that feels.
I
Um,
know.
I have to ask you, was the Brown Girls clique or Brown Girls crew, was that specifically, was there skin color? Was it about skin color, or was it just about you all being cool and because I'm like, everybody on the show is brown, really. But
Right.
so was it in your opinion, Was it really because you guys were like the chocolate girls, or was it just because I don't know, like where did that come from?
Right. So I think that the person who had the vision behind it, I'll say the visionary of it, would be able to speak to that more
Yeah.
than I would. I know that the first time I ever heard the term was from a picture that we all took. And it
Okay.
was like, we were three brown girls, and it was like, oh, melanin popping type of thing. Oh, look at us type of that. And then from there, the term was used over and over and over and over again. Again, I was so caught up in the process and figuring so many other things out about who I am and what's happening with therapy. And okay,
Yeah.
am I letting them know, dang, am I attracted to that emotionally unavailable man again? What's going on? That was really more of like my focus. But during the process, in the process, those were women that I was the closest to. You know what I mean? That is true. But there are certain things that I'm not okay with, you know what I mean, at all, and that I don't um show or have any fruit of in my own personal life, which people have gotten to see more of as we've shared our social media platforms, and we're all kind of connecting with each other outside of filming.
Mhm.
But I do not believe that the original intent of it was to be something negative if we were just looking at dealing with the fact that this is something that happens in the media. And that's what was said that it was. I just think with anything, and this is how I truly feel. When you're personally involved in something that you're starting, almost like when you're a pioneer for something, you have to
Mhm.
be very careful how you move,
Yeah.
because what happens then is you lose legitimacy
Absolutely.
because you know what I mean, of things that could be done or how things could be perceived. And so even if the intention was this,
Mhm.
it can get lost. It could
Yeah.
get lost in the sauce. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I
So
do. I think for me, and I think also as a brown skinned girl, I remember when it wasn't cool to be brown skinned. So
right,
I'm like,
right,
I don't think we ever use that as a way to divide against each other.
right.
I've also felt like I'm super curvy, so I'm always like, curvy girls, and then I realized, okay, I don't want to make a person that's not curvy feel like I am against them. But you have to understand, for so long, being curvy was not the thing. Being brown skin was
Exactly.
not the thing. So it's kind of
Exactly.
like, but in doing that, like you said, we have to be very, very careful not to do the opposite. Like, we know how it
Yeah,
felt to
yeah,
not
not
be
to not to be the thing that hurt us, not to become the
exactly.
thing that hurt you. But that was an incredible example. As you were speaking about curvy girls, plus size girl, woo woo woo, you started to wonder how could that make the other young ladies, who aren't, feel. But in your head, you're like, I'm not dissing them.
Yeah.
I'm just
I'm just sticking up for the big
celebrating
girls. Right.
whatever. And so I think the visionary felt the same way. But this is another thing that's my truth, and I'm gonna say it. I didn't know I was gonna say it. I think we just all have different experiences in life,
Yeah.
and I do believe that colorism is real, and I do believe that we've seen examples of it throughout history and media, and and everything else. But I think there are certain things that each of us as individuals have had to really face head on,
Yeah.
and I have never really had to deal with that. Thank you, God, because
Hmm.
I know it's a real thing, but I haven't. So eventually, it almost became like this isn't really my not weight to carry, but like this isn't my war. Like this, with how as far as how things were
Right.
played out within the cast. Okay,
Right.
that's what I'm talking about. But I think for some other people, they dealt with it every day. They
Yeah.
have a lot of childhood memories where they whatever. I definitely had things that happened growing up, like, you're pretty to be a dark skinned girl. Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Every
just
brown,
call me
every brown
pretty,
skin, yeah, every brown skin girl heard
you
that,
know,
whether you're brown or
you
chocolate
know.
or whatever shade
Right.
you are.
And that's not fun. That's not great. I had a guy one time say, I want to be with somebody. I need you to help me, but she can't be darker than my arm. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, this instantly felt like we just went back in time. Like this is a period piece and you know what's going on. And so I was like, yikes. And so I think, like I said again, I think it was originally something to just celebrate. But I
Mhm.
have to acknowledge and I have to understand that it made people feel like
It
you
was
know,
divisive. It felt to divide the
yes,
way it was used there, but
yes,
I can understand, because I say honestly, the entire cast should have been brown girls, because there
right,
were brown and
right,
different shades of
right,
brown, which makes us so
right,
dope. But
right.
yeah, so I just wondered your thoughts on that. I'm going to say this and we can move on. I think that some of the behavior that we saw when people are under, uh, being filmed and in a situation that they're not usually
Very
in,
true.
we can see things come out that are not. My hope is that some of the things that happen, even the people that were doing them watched and did not like what it looked like when they saw it back.
Yeah.
and and I think it's an opportunity. This show is an opportunity for all of us to learn, because we see what you guys are dealing with dating. Everybody watching is dealing with the same thing, which is why people love the show so much. But that, especially for us, like sister to sister, we have to hold each other accountable and just be more mindful, because we know what's been done to us and not
Yeah.
do it to each other. So
I agree. And I appreciate you talking about you as a viewer. You're seeing yourself in us and you're
mhm,
watching from that space. I don't think enough people speak out about it in that manner. I feel like when
yeah.
I see a lot of comments, it's from a super judgmental place, from a super I never make any mistakes, from a super they're all dumb, they all this. And it's just like, well, you guys are seeing 2 seconds of a scene that was much, much longer. You
Mhm,
don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know why I'm moving this way instead of this way. And beyond that, use it more as a space to learn. Like I watch Insecure, and I know we're talking about scripted versus non-scripted, but you guys know it's not
yeah,
real life. There's a camera there, so let's
right.
be completely honest. But when I watch shows like that, I'm more so like, what could I learn?
Hmm.
Dang, that was dumb what she did, but I used to do a lot of dumb stuff. Or
Right.
that was dumb what she did. I was about to do it last night, actually. But I just I think that's how we can get better as people, and you know what I mean, be able to just enjoy things for what it is sometimes versus just speaking out about every little thing, dogging
But you know what?
people, you
I think
know.
people watch, and watching is a way to escape, right?
Now that is
From
true.
yourself. And so, everybody, every woman, I can't speak for men because I'm not a man, but I can relate to every dating mistake. Maybe I might not have
Yeah.
made that, but I have a friend that did, or I know
Yeah,
I felt.
for
I
sure.
would not go on the show, because I don't know what I would do watching a guy that I'm really into date someone else. I probably would be like, I don't know what I would do, but I know I
Right.
would not on the show. But so you guys are brave to do that and to be able to share that. Um, Let me ask you, what did you learn about yourself in this process? Like, what did you not know about Mumin that you learned when going through this process that you'll take into moving forward in your dating life?
I would say just how much I doubt myself when it pertains to that first interaction with another human being. I normally know what's up, and most of the time we land there in the end. But I used to feel like immediately just saying, bam, I know what it is, was me judging a person. And I'm now going to view that a little differently. I now feel like if I really break that down and put some context to it, I can say that you're extremely toxic. You're not a bad person. You're just extremely toxic. You're not safe for me. But
Right.
that doesn't make you a bad person. So I had to say this stuff to myself. Like I
Mhm.
can say, like, oh, great guy. You're emotionally unavailable, and I'm sure your relationship with your mother is probably not the best. So you're probably dealing with some childhood trauma, and you're not going to deflect on me. You know what I mean? When you get all your little language together.
Yeah.
But I can say that and just say, yeah, buddy, not over here, because I've done too much work. That doesn't make you a bad person. I just can't go back to that neighborhood. That particular neighborhood, I don't want to, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? And so that's what I've learned.
Yeah.
I want to really, stand in that and just be like, hey, you knew it, you felt it, you saw it. And that's what I was saying on stage at the reunion. Like,
Mhm.
what I'm now on this reunion stage talking about is not only what I really felt like the first day I ever talked to you, several of the other women said the same thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't make Frank a bad guy. That doesn't make Frank a person who's never going to be able to be an honorable husband and anything like that. It just means that during that particular season, you were giving off something that was telling multiple people that
That
you're
this is
not
right.
you're not
Yeah.
present, you're not ready
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah. I think that, and because we have to realize that people grow. So what
Yes,
you do today may not be, yesterday's price may not be today's price, and tomorrow's price may
exactly.
be different. So I think
Exactly.
that we all have to give each other grace to grow. But like you said, that trusting yourself is maturity, and just learning, like, when my instinct or my that spirit tells it's discernment, and I to listen
I
to that.
know. For
So
sure. And I'm grateful for this, to have this journey and this season before I actually get married. And I know people were at home like, "Oh my god, she's doing it again." And I'm like, "Doing what? Dating? Like doing what? Like having fun, doing what? Learning that this works for me and this doesn't work for me." Like I have told you guys that this was like my first real rodeo as far as
yeah,
dating multiple people, not relationships, dating. Basically speed dating all in one
right,
space. Just like I said, just having that moment. It's not ready to get married tonight. It's
right,
not ready to, for sure you got to know this is your soulmate. That's not what that was. And if you have
right.
to do this 77 times, maybe there is a, problem. Maybe, okay, cool. You're not getting something, because I
Right,
definitely don't want to have to do this over and over again. The plan is to do this and you're locking into a
right.
forever partner or, love. But I feel like I learned so much in this journey. Like, feel like I'm sharper and quicker and even more prepared to show up, So
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, that's what it's really about. Is there anything that you would do differently if you could look back? Is there anybody that you wish you had spent more time talking to, and maybe taking some of Frank's time away? Just saying. No, but is there anything that you would do differently if you could do this process over?
If there's anything I would do differently. I think, I don't know, I was gonna say have more of those uncomfortable conversations, but I don't know about that. I'll say with the Frank piece. Um, I know there were definitely things that were not adding up, especially towards the very, 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 very end.
Hmm.
And I feel like, especially when we got done, I could have tackled that much, much sooner. Like, hey, it's been a day, it's been 2 days. If you're really
Hmm.
into somebody, you don't want to go a
Yeah.
whole day without talking to them.
Right.
So it's like having those intentional, tough conversations and then putting my boundaries up.
Hmm.
Like, I definitely left the fence open.
Yeah.
Like, he was saying whatever, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, he said he's gonna try again. Okay. Versus just being like, okay, please do not contact me for the next 67 days. Because I need to detox you out of my system because
Yeah.
you have not kept your word. You know what I mean? And being able to then, move on quicker probably and just keep going versus just coming
How
in and
long?
coming
How
out.
long? How long did he wait before he did reach out to you after
Um,
decision
I
day?
can't remember, but I think honestly, I can't remember, but I'll say the next time we saw each other was at an event that one of the cast members had. We had not gone on any dates, and that was definitely over a week. We had not gone on any dates. We had not seen each other in person, and I don't remember there being that much communication. And then when it was finally, it was like all of these speeches and just trying to tell me what's going on, and it just was just
Yeah.
it was so much work. And it's
Yeah.
like when you really just are into somebody, it shouldn't even be that much work in the beginning.
Yeah.
We just always want to be around each other. We just
Yeah.
always want to, and it just yeah.
What did your dad say? A lot of people were like, because when I had Frank on, people were, and I asked him, I said, so we heard her father say, don't waste her time. Do you think that you wasted her time? And he said it would have, that he could say, if he was looking from the outside in, yes, that it wasn't his intent, but he could see why someone would say yes. What did
Mhm,
your dad say?
mhm.
What did he say about the whole process? But I was like, he just seemed like a no nonsense. I'm not playing.
He is a no nonsense guy for sure. Well, especially people who aren't exposed to like reality television or television, he wasn't understanding the timestamps. He wasn't understanding that we were dating multiple people. That thing just did not sit well for him. So he was texting me like people in the village can't wait to meet Frank. And I'm like, are you talking about in Africa? Like, do
Oh,
you really feel like we're at a point where there would be plane tickets involved going to another continent? But they weren't really grasping necessarily what was happening. And like I told you, I feel like my father thought this was like 90 Day Fiance
mm,
or like Married at First Sight.
yeah.
Because y'all don't know. I mean, when we were at, getting ready to come on set, he started talking about dowries. I was like,
Oh, he did. Yeah. I think
Dad.
someone said in the comments earlier, he do Married at First Sight. I think that would be better for you. I do. I'm,
That's
I'm a huge fan of both of these shows, but I think when you're doing Ready to Love, you got to have a little, you got to be willing to run a little game, because those are the people that always win, is the ones that are running a little bit of game. And you seem like a person that's just very honest and sweet, and you know what you want. You're not trying to play the game.
no,
So,
I'm not. But what does that mean exactly, Crystal? Like, do you feel like that's clear about the brand? Because I don't feel like
well, I don't,
this
I
is.
don't think it's the brand's fault.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's the brand's fault. I think it's the nature of what happens, because you got to realize when you put people, first of all, people are usually not honest about who else they're dating. So you bring that all the way in, and
Yeah.
then people know that they have to. But on
Yeah.
every season, there's usually a guy that is stuck and doesn't really quite want to be honest. It's just the nature of the game. In order to keep
Yeah. Okay.
keep
I hear
in
you.
the game long enough to keep in there long enough to stay to the end, it's just, it
Okay,
doesn't
but do you
feel,
see what you're saying? That's tricky, Crystal.
it
And
is.
that's why I think even when people didn't want to move that a certain way, they were moving a certain way. Because
Yeah.
let's say you really, really like a guy, and I think I saw this. I really, really like him, but things are getting funny. I don't really know what's going on. People are trying to play me out. I want to stay long enough to be able to pursue this.
Yeah, but see, that's
Or hey,
not,
I just don't want to experience rejection, so I'm going to do whatever I need to do and have whatever conversation with people. Yeah,
that's
that's
weird.
not why. Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah. That's
I don't like it.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
why I think you would be better on Married at First Sight, because I do think, even though that doesn't have, um the actual, like, marriages that work are not a whole lot, but both people come knowing our focus is each other, and we're going to
Yes.
not, and I'm on an own interview beefing up Lifetime. I should not do that because I love OWN, but I'm just saying, I don't know. I was just like,
Oh, you could put me on another show. Just
she
yeah, we
doesn't
could
really
just
seem like she's, this is that thing,
dating
because
show.
it is really like game, and I don't think that really works all the time with real love. My,
Yeah, I agree. I
you
agree. I wasn't prepared to have to do that and move like
know,
that, and that's where all the anxiety was coming from. You know what I mean? Like you
sure,
think you're really connecting with somebody, but somebody else is saying that it.
yeah. So where are you now? So you're dating? Are we out dating now? Are
Yes, I am, and I'm
you?
loving it. I'm so so loving it. I am. Like I said, this thing opened me up. I'm just like, okay, cool. I kind of got a grip on it, know
Yeah.
how to do it, and I've been enjoying it so far. And there's some DMs that are just,
Okay. Oh, okay. Well,
you
maybe
know,
we can do it.
you know.
So wait a minute. If because I call myself a match. I feel like I'm a matchmaker. Deep,
Ooh.
but I need to know, like, what are you attracted to? Because you said you're random all over the board with the physical, the physical setup. But what is important to you? Like, what are your deal breakers? Give me 5
Okay.
deal breakers that you need absolutely in a person to, actually date them and want to get to know them better, with the intent that it could lead towards,
You
if you,
said 5 deal breakers or 5 things I want?
let's do 5 things you want, and then I don't need 5 deal breakers. Let's do 5 things that you want and maybe 2 deal breakers.
Okay. Definitely a man with vision.
Okay, I like.
Which a lot of times that's attracted to attached to leaders.
Mhm,
But I love that. I want us to be going somewhere.
mhm,
Let's make that 2. Number 1, I need you to be a God fearing man on your own.
mhm,
I need that to be something that you work on daily, your relationship with Jesus the Christ.
mhm,
Okay. And then we have the vision piece. Definitely a man with a sense of humor. I love to have fun. Life can be tough already. Let's make
okay,
sure we can laugh at each other and, keep each other young and, enjoy this life thing. I'm a major family person. And even though I've discussed that there's been some challenges within mine, not only are we working through it, I'm just passionate about that dynamic
mhm,
and the importance of it in the community. And so I can't wait to, build mine and be intentional about how we structure it and breaking, generational dysfunctions and stuff like that. And so I want a man that also is going to prioritize that, like is serious about his family, serious about his clan. That's
mhm.
really, really important to me.
Okay.
And then uh, another thing I would say is a guy who understands the arts. I'm super creative, so you don't have to be a creative, but I need you to understand because we're some very unique beings.
Yeah,
We're just a little
yeah,
different. So I need a guy who has an understanding of
mhm,
that.
yeah.
Hmm.
Um, have you has it been an issue for you, because with the type of career that you have, that could be intimidating for some guys, I'm sure. I hate to use the word intimidated, but a lot of guys may not feel comfortable in that
Hmm.
space. So how do you
Hmm.
see, how has that worked for you? And even the guys that you dated on the show, do you think they would have fit into your world once you went back to, being on the road and being in the gospel space?
Right. I think Walter could have handled it for sure. I'm not sure about Corey. And then Frank, I just felt like he was maybe interested because I was interested.
Mm,
And he did say that this was something that he was, open to kind of adding to his life or had a desire to want to have more of a presence, a church presence in his life. But again, I feel like that was more so because he was connected to me, not
yeah.
something that he, would have wanted to do on his
On its own.
own. So,
Yeah.
out of the 3 guys that I, dated on the show, I would say Walter.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
And Walter
Well,
has a church background as well. So
yeah, he said we didn't get to hear that on the show, but he did.
hmm
He shared that you all had that connection as well.
yes.
So, um, tell us before you leave. I want to know where people can, because we would definitely want to hear more about your career and your singing. We didn't get a chance to really hear a lot of that on the show. Is there some place people can go to hear your music and to be able to support
Yeah.
you that way?
Yeah, sure. Well, I have music on iTunes, for sure, and Apple Music. You guys can go there. On my social media page, especially Instagram, which is at MKNGENGE. I have a bunch of singing videos up there. All you have to do is put in the hashtag Mook Sings, which is one of my major nicknames in the industry, MOOKSINGS, and you'll see a lot of really cool videos on there as well. And I just signed with a label, so I'm about to do my first solo deal. So in
Congrats.
the spring, we will have a super cool EP that is coming out that you guys can support for sure.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank
So
you.
you definitely need. I do this show because I really believe in love, and I believe in the type of love that our Father, God, our Father, would want us to have. So it's like,
Amen.
you would look at when I look at my kids, I know like I would only want the best for them. So
Yeah,
I would never, I'm never going to give them anything that's not good for them. And so I
for
think that we have
sure.
to realize that if we're really, in line and believe what we say we do, that God, our Father, would never give us anything that would not
So
be
good.
good for us. It's not going
Yeah,
to be perfect, but it's not going to tear us down
love
or
that.
be negative, for us. So I know that that's coming, and I think with the purpose and the calling that you have on your life with your voice and the gift that God gave you, you have to have a very special man to be able to, hold you down and to support
Yes,
you and to lead in that way. So I know that he's on the way, but
I
you
received that.
definitely, yeah, you need a very special person that would be suited for that because that industry is not easy. I've been in entertainment for a long time and
No,
it's not easy. And it's not easy for a significant other. A lot of times if you've got a wife that's a star, it's you got to have a very secure, strong
very true.
man that's comfortable in his skin and knows his place. So
Very true.
I am praying that that is on the way for you. I know it's coming.
Thank
Just keep
you.
doing what you're doing and keep your standards high. Don't change. Don't change. That was beautiful to see. This season was discouraging for so many reasons, but I loved you holding Frank accountable at that reunion and just the way you carried yourself in the midst of a lot of negativity. We didn't see that from you. And I think there's always going to be different things happening, but we have to have balance, so we
Yeah,
saw certain women carry themselves, with dignity and grace. And we saw
yeah,
other women that may have been struggling or dealing with different things, but it's not to tear anybody down. Everybody can get there. We're just at different places at different times. So
very true.
I appreciate you and some of the other ladies for being so amazing and coming on and sharing that with us. And we will definitely, you guys definitely go and support. It's Mook Sings. That's cute. The hashtag
Thank you. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Mook
Thank
Sings. You
you.
guys go and support that. And we will definitely, you got to come back when you get your single.
Yay,
Come
I would love
share with us.
to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Thank
Absolutely.
you, Crystal, and thank you everybody who watched.
You are more than
Thank you
welcome. We
so
will
much.
definitely be watching. We'll be
All
watching
right.
what's going on that Instagram. And if you have it,
Okay.
if you do get past the dating phase, you definitely got to come back and let us know. We love success
Oh
stories.
yes. I'm gonna just pop up
Yes.
and just put my hand and put look y'all, look y'all, look y'all. Oh hey y'all. Yeah. I would
One
love to
of
come
the
back.
girls from I think it was season one, the very first season
Yeah.
of Ready to Love, Courtney,
Yeah.
who's here in Atlanta, came back and she married, got married, and this guy is amazing. And she came back and
Oh,
talked about it, and it was really good. So I think, when you're willing to put yourself out there and you're willing to remain true to your faith, I think that the result is always God meets you where you are. So you'll
for
definitely.
sure. For sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well,
All
thank you
right.
for hanging out with us on a Friday night. And we will definitely be watching. Thank you so much, Mumi.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good one. All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out. This was a very great, was a great conversation. I really liked her a lot. She was a sweetheart all throughout the season. So we are going to be back on Monday. We have Aisha and Dante on Monday. So you guys, please meet me right here at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. We'll have Aisha first and then Dante. I like the fact that we're having people come, even though they're a couple, we want them to come individually so we can get their stories. But I know you guys can't wait to hear what they have to say. We saw Dante give us his truth tonight on the reunion, so we definitely are excited to hear what has happened in their relationship since the reunion aired, and since the reunion was taped and now it's aired. See what's going on with them. So I will see you guys right back here Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here. Again, if you haven't liked, shared, or subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. I need you to do that. Please do that. Have a blessed weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday.